Since 2008, 944 children in the U.S. have been killed by a parent or parental figure during a high-conflict custody dispute. In many of these cases, protective parents approached the court to report abuse, only for the system to prioritize visitation over specific danger signals. When teacher union strikes shutter school districts, the impact hits the home immediately. Beyond the classroom, these closures cut off access to daily meals for children in poverty and force working parents into last-minute childcare arrangements they often can't afford. This tension is now spilling into infrastructure, as the rapid expansion of AI data centers triggers local resistance that has escalated into threats, vandalism, and, in at least one instance, gunfire aimed at officials. These crises are the products of a zero-sum economic model. Whether in a courtroom or a boardroom, the standard aisle and bar method views every interaction as a coliseum, where for one side to win, the other must lose. This math tracks billable hours with precision, but is functionally blind to the biological drain it extracts until people hit a breaking point. These tragedies are the predictable outputs of an extractive system. When the code itself ignores the limits of human endurance, the system will eventually crash the people living inside it. During a long labor strike or a litigious court battle, individuals enter what is known as a contract deprivation zone, or CDZ. These zones demand constant resilience and emotional labor from participants, while offering no systemic way to restore the resources being siphoned away. The end result is a no attention reserve tragedy, or NART. It is a 0% state where a person's psychological and biological reserves are completely emptied, often leading to the preventable violence seen in custody disputes and local protests. When legal and economic frameworks treat human presence as an infinite resource to be mined, they create a starvation model that terminates in human loss. Modern technology has added a new layer to the strain. Attention deprivation zones, or ADZs, now stack on top of these legal and labor crises. We see this in the modern worker juggling gig economy pings and algorithmic demands while managing domestic stress, a state of constant sensory overload. This is the silicone hollow. Every time you open a browser or unlock your phone, you are stepping into a hostile environment. The modern internet operates as a digital Wild West, engineered specifically for extraction. What they are mining is your attention. Today's digital economy places a higher premium on harvesting behavioral data than it does on basic human well-being. When your cognitive reserves are drained by endless scrolling, you are left in what researchers call an empty screen storm, a state of systemic neglect where your focus is entirely depleted. We intuitively know that our attention is highly valuable, yet we navigate this daily drain without any gauge to show us exactly how much we are losing. To stop the bleed, you have to be able to see it. We need a way to measure the deficit before it spirals out of control. This brings us to a framework known as the Rescue Meter Blessed Vision. Think about how you regulate the temperature in your home. You don't guess if it's freezing or boiling. You check the thermostat. We need that exact same mechanism, a smart thermostat for human attention screens. This calibration process starts with the red dial, the aware phase. This is the red zone. Just like a dashboard warning light, it alerts you to a critical deficit in your focus before you attempt to fix it. You cannot deploy effective digital defenses until you accurately acknowledge the severity of the drain. Once that baseline is established, the system requires you to shift gears, turning the dial from red to yellow. Here we enter the protect phase, relying on pre-trauma shields to stabilize daily internet usage. The goal is the gold zone, a stabilized environment where strict personal accountability and active safety protocols keep digital harm away from the family. These shields are explicitly designed to be proactive. They catch and redirect your habits long before a screen storm can inflict lasting damage. This engineering process creates a secure perimeter, moving the burden of defense away from individual willpower and into the infrastructure itself. This approach is part of a broader vision called the Gear 6-7 Newconomy. It outlines a complete market shift that places human restoration above the relentless harvesting of digital data. Central to this is the Blessed Bionic FinShop, a structural framework designed to actively guard your home against the chaos of unregulated online culture. This bar chart models a projected 2026 timeline. Notice how, as the volume of extracted data shrinks, your personal attention reserves increase. Your attention is treated as a currency that you bank, rather than spend on corporate extractors. By banking attention currency rather than surrendering it to extractors, families build a private reserve that serves as the foundation for this restorative economic model, which brings us to the third and optimal stage of the thermostat, the grow phase. Here, the user enters what is termed the Zero Deprivation Zone. Systemic digital neglect gives way to a community-driven model focused entirely on dignified human empowerment. Achieving this state isn't a single massive leap. It is built on 21 tiny wins, incremental, deliberate steps that act as a blueprint for filling your cognitive reserves. This growth is the ultimate objective of the entire Rescue Meter Blessed framework. It moves us out of a defensive survival mode and into active restoration. Once your attention is fully guarded and kept within the gold zone, personal and communal growth ceases to be a struggle. It becomes a natural, compounding outcome. The digital landscape will always try to pull you back into the storm, but your attention is a finite, deeply precious currency. You must reserve it, protect it, and grow with it. The Gear 6-7 New Economy replaces systemic neglect with a concrete model of dignified human empowerment.